we understand a place? Through photographs and videos, to be sure, through stories and music and art. We understand places through maps that we used to roll out on big tables, and now we scroll on the tiny screens of our phones. What if we could make a kind of avian fingerprint that would allow us to understand a city through its bird species, to represent a place through all of the feathered things that call it home? I had this idea to make these avian fingerprints in 2024. So I downloaded the entire eBird dataset for a year, and I spent 3 months iterating and making all kinds of mistakes. But eventually I got there with these 75 different images that each show the really specific bird life character of these places, these cities and countries, sometimes states, sometimes regions. Every observation of a bird in these graphics gets its own color, depending on the bird. Ducks and geese are green, seabirds like terns and gulls are blue, perching birds are orange and pink and red, and some of the weirdos like woodpeckers and raptors are purple. These visualizations read like a clock. So up here is January 1st, and then we go through the early winter into the spring, and finally into the summer and the fall, and back to the end of the year. The further that these lines go from the center of the graphic means more birds were counted on that day. In Brooklyn, we see this kind of staggered pattern because people are often out birding on the weekends. And then all through the spring migration, which is the most popular part of birding in Brooklyn, we have this huge burst of activity when there's lots of birds, but also lots of birders out counting. There are so many specific stories in here. If we were to zoom in, we could find all the observations I made when I was out in Brooklyn birding. But I like to kind of squint and look at it as a whole. You can see that Brooklyn during the winter has a lot of those greens and blues. These are the gulls and seabirds that are here overwintering. This is Iceland, which is really one of my favorites. I love how it looks like it's wearing this beard of these green and blue seabirds. All throughout the summertime, there are lots of these birds in the warmer waters in Iceland. It's a good reminder also, though, that these graphics are about birds and they're about people. So one of the reasons why there's not so much activity in Iceland in the winter is there's just not a lot of people out counting birds. The last two graphics, we saw this really clear seasonal pattern, as maybe there's more birds in the fall or during these migratory periods. But in a place like Sao Paulo, you have this exuberance of birds just all year round. I've made more than 75 of these, and I just love looking at them all in one place. You know, these are all places on the planet, but all of them look completely different. You know, it's exactly what I wanted to get out of this project, this idea that a place has an inherent character, and that character is not only about people, but it's also obviously about wildlife.